Welcome to Podcast of All Podcasts. Enjoy best moments of podcast history.
That's right.
Give zero fucks here at the Joe Rogan Experience.
Have we been doing a podcast for 3 hours? Jesus, Mary, Joel.
Listen.
Okay.
Ustream is strong. We're gonna hang in there. I feel this.
This is a new ballad.
I feel this.
Hopefully it'll be on a record. If not, you'll have it here forever.
Here it is.
Okay. It's called Burn Me Out. Oh, babe, I gotta say, I learned the hard way with you. Your words like books had me hooked like summertime, cooking up my mind all the way through. I guess I held on too tight. I broke my fingers on your floor that night, and I lost my faith in my own breath. Who knew that love could feel like death? But it's not your concern, and all I really learned is all your rounds around about. Oh man, they burn me out. You say that God knows the way, but I'm standing in the dark. I soaked you up, you wrung me out here on a line, messing up my time in the park. Oh, but it's not your concern, no. And all I really learned is all your rounds of roundabouts. Oh man, they burn me out. It don't feel good, this goodbye, but by and by we'll go on. I won't put it on you. I am well aware that I caused us trouble too, and I won't look back on you with anger. No, I won't. Even if you do the same or if you don't. Oh, but it's not your concern, no. And all I really learned is all your rounds of roundabouts. Oh man, they burn me out. They just burn me out. All right.
We're a swarm on this
Of bees?
planet.
You know
We're a
what-
swarm. There's billions of us.
You were like this when you did it.
I was trying to be like Wonder Woman. I was thinking strong Linda Carter.
Again, we're all in this together. We're all the fucking swarm bees in the beehive.
We're a swarm.
Making the honey.
Oh, there's a lot of us. God
Stupid. I
damn
know,
it.
you knew that was coming.
No, I did.
I know, come on. So it's the low-hanging fruit. I mean, that was obvious.
There is a fucking lot of us.
There
lot of
sure is,
people.
Joe.
You know?
Honey with Joe Rogan.
And it's
Yeah,
like
tell me everything.
3 hits in.
What happened to
There's
me?
something about three hits in is when reality dissolves. For most people, that's what they say, 3 hits.
Okay.
And if you took like 1 or 2, you get crazy visuals, you get weird, freaky stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But you don't go to the alien dimension.
Yes, I did.
You did.
I totally
so
did.
You took enough. So did you close your eyes while you were there, or did you have them open?
Well, it was nighttime, so I could see the stars.
Wow.
And at one point, I went completely deaf.
Ooh.
All the sounds just went and I was watching a moving street, and I couldn't hear anything. Whoa. It was intense.
How high up were you?
Just a couple stories.
Were you worried about freaking out and trying to fly?
No. I was on the ride. Ooh. Wait, tell me more.
That's the big fear, right? The big fear is like someone taking a psychedelic and they're on a balcony. Like Bill Hicks used to have a bit about that.
Okay.
Young man on acid, thought he could fly. Leapt tragically to his death.
Oh, that's
tragedy.
Scary.
He goes, what a dick.
Still here.
He goes, if you thought he could fly, why didn't he take off from the ground first? He goes, we just lost a moron.
That's awful. Oh, boy.
It was great.
Oh, God.
And then he had a positive drug story. Yeah, which you never do here. Yeah. It is interesting. I don't like to say that the news is fake, because it's not fake. It's like they're doing the best they can. They vet themselves the best they can, and they definitely fuck up. And definitely people get ambitious. But it is kind of interesting that they only tell you like sanctioned things. Like you're never going to see like a whole Fox News article on the benefits of psychedelic drugs and how it could change your consciousness,
right.
and how Suzanne smoked pot with Duncan Trussell with DMT laced in it, and they went on
It was not
a
Duncan
journey
Trussell.
through but it could be. You know what I'm saying?
I did take mushrooms with Duncan once, though.
I'm sure.
It was amazing. It was
you haven't lived.
It was like the first time I'd ever like really been high on mushrooms.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I saw my grandfather.
Ooh, that's intense.
Yeah, we should talk about that another time.
I saw my grandfather once on weed. Ooh, I ate an edible and then had a dream. And the dream was really intense. And I was talking to my grandfather. It was really weird. Like I hadn't seen him in forever. He died when I was in my 20s. And
did it feel real?
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys spend a lot of time together when he was alive?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, he was. He used to take me fishing and stuff like that. He was a really nice guy, and it just took care of my grandmother for the last like 12 years of her life. She had a stroke, and then he had to take care of her for like a long time. She had an aneurysm.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I lived with them at that time because I'd moved from Boston to New York. I didn't have a place to stay. So I lived with my grandfather and my grandmother in New Jersey, and it was just a super dark time. But
how old were you?
24.
Oh, wow.
Somewhere around then. And it made me realize, like really intensely, that this life does not last. Like, and that you have to really be appreciative of health and your movement, your ability to move and your ability to experience things.
Totally.
And it just seems it seems like such a given. And because it's such a given and we get wrapped up in so many different things, it's super easy to lose touch with that, to be happy. Like I was talking to a really good friend of mine who's going through a divorce, and he started getting all bummed out about it and this and that. And I was like, look, man, you are so lucky. You're happy. You're healthy. You're alive. You have a bunch of great friends. Like you're going to be fine. Like this is all going to be fine. Like this is like a little journey you're going to go through. And it's all in like how you look at it, how you approach this journey, how you're going to come out of it on the other end. But being a young guy and living with my grandmother when she was dying and my grandfather when he had to take care of her and seeing the both of them like struggle, it was intense.
Well, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
When you feel like when you had this psychedelic experience where you saw your grandfather, like, does that, to you, is that like a real experience of
him being somewhere else and communicating with you, or
it's probably just an ego trip. It's probably just me thinking that I could recreate my memory. But what was interesting about it is the memories were so intense. They were so realistic. They were like my grandfather. Like he used to talk and like he used to behave. He was always a very, very gentle man, a very gentle guy with a very like easy way about him. Like he was a really interesting guy. And he was like that in the dream. He was that guy in the dream.
Well, it makes sense too if you go through a really impactful time. It just digs those grooves deep.
I'm sure.
In your brain.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's
wild.
And I had it once with Phil Hartman too. Super intense. The Phil Hartman one was super intense. It was years after he died, like maybe more than 10. And in the dream, he was sitting in a lawn chair. And somehow or another, he was telling me what life was like after his wife had killed himself, or killed him, and then killed herself. It was really intense. And I was like, somehow or another, I was talking to him from this like next stage of existence. But the next stage of existence, it wasn't heaven, and it wasn't the DMT dimension. It was like a picnic. It was like there was a lawn, and it was like a bunch of people hanging out, and he was just laughing and joking around and being jovial about things. And he was just talking about, we talked about that. Like about him and the wife after she shot him and killed him. He was like joking around in my dream.
That's incredible.
We had to have a conversation about that.
Wow.
You know, it was like, wow. It was so crazy. It was so intense because it was so real and it was him. And he fell backwards in his chair, like laughing. Like fell backwards in his chair, almost like a pratfall. And then he was gone.
What?
And then the dream was gone. And then it all went away, and I woke up. Because it was so intense, I woke up. And I was like, whoa, that really felt like I was talking to Phil. Like, it didn't feel like just a memory. It really felt like I was talking to Phil. Huh. But again, what is that? Is that an ego trip? Is that your imagination?
No,
is
I
that
believe
your memory?
in that stuff.
Do you?
I do.
Are you all in?
I'm in because I've had experience. No, I mean, I think there's a lot of bullshit with. You need to be skeptical from the external people that try to tell you stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But I've definitely had people help me understand what all that shit means when I've had dreams like that.
Yeah.
With my deceased relatives, and they told me things, and then they happened, and yeah, it could be your ego, but I
don't think that makes it less real though. If it's your ego or your mind, creating a scenario with a loved one or whatever. That's I don't think that's less real than the idea of this spirit re-embodying, I don't know, some sort of physical form or whatever. I think they're both kind of valid.
And it's energy. I think it's an exchange of energy, and we've definitely been in places where we felt like not alone, and we weren't high. We were, you have those moments where like your instincts and your intuition are like aware of external things that you can't see, but you can feel, and maybe you can see them. We've seen a ghost once.
Can I just address what you just said, though? Mm-hmm. But there is a difference, right? There is a difference because
Sure.
one of them is your imagination and one of them is you talking to a ghost. There's a huge difference because one of them, it means ghosts are real. And the other one, it just means your imagination is real, which you're absolutely 100% aware of, right? So we know people have ridiculous imaginations. They dream and imagine things constantly.
Sure.
Right.
So there is a big difference between the two of them because one of them gives you a view into a mystical world that doesn't in the eyes of science, it doesn't seem to make sense, right? It doesn't seem to want to exist. If there's another world where people can come back from the dead and talk to you and have conversations with you. But one of the arguments that I've always used with psychedelic drugs is that if you feel like in a psychedelic experience you went to heaven and had a conversation with God, or you went to another dimension and talked to the infinite wisdom that controls the cells of the universe. If you did do that, or if you took the drugs and felt like you did that, it's the same experience. Like, that's the difference. It's like, I don't know if God's real, and I don't know what the fuck happens when you take psychedelic drugs, but god damn, it feels similar.
Sure.
Like, there's moments where you have intense psychedelic trips where you really do believe you're in the presence of like this pure wisdom and pure love that sees you in a way that is undeniable, and you can't argue it.
I think it's a gateway. I don't know. I think sometimes it's your ego, sometimes it's some weird shit in your brain, and sometimes I think it's real. I think it's very complicated.
It is complicated, but my point is they're the same experience. If you're talking to God or if you're talking to your imagination that creates this God, it's for that brief moment in those 15 minutes, it's the same experience. Now, I don't know if that's enough, but that's something. Like, I don't know, like, what your old time on Earth is just time, right? Your time on Earth is just, you have a limited, finite amount. You got 100 years if you're fucking super lucky and you got good genes, and that's a wrap, right? So this is just, we have this little time thing. But during those 15 minutes, which is a small amount of time, but the whole life's small, during those 15 minutes, you are absolutely experiencing something divine. Now, is that your imagination? Is that you finding some portal to another dimension? Is that the reason why your brain produces these chemicals in the first place? Is because we transition during the time of death into this new realm? Is that it?
But if your concept of what divinity is includes all of that stuff, it gets to be both, right?
Sure, but I mean, like, there's a real problem with defining something that you just can't define. Like, the whole problem with psychedelic trips, I don't know, like, I don't know if for you guys feel this way, but for me, it's always like...
Dag Shepard with Will Ferrell.
Doing it. What do you think?
Yeah.
I say,
Don't.
I say you're not talented. This is a terrible idea. No, I say...
Which is what, apparently David Letterman, that's what he would say.
Oh, really?
When people ask, I saw, he was like, don't. It's super hard.
And you have to be a genius.
And he was kind of being serious. He's like, I had to, I worked at the Comedy Store for 10 years before I was anyone.
Yeah.
It's super hard. It's gotten harder. And besides, I don't want the competition.
Oh,
and
wow.
But he was like,
Interesting.
That would be kind of his advice.
His go-to. Yeah, mine was if you'd be happier failing at this than succeeding at something else.
Yeah.
Then do it.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, though, is I wonder if you connected this because your parents got divorced when you were 8?
I think so. Roughly around that, yeah.
And you also have said that 3rd grade was like the pivotal year of your life where you discovered you were really funny.
Yeah.
And could make people laugh.
3rd grade. Yeah.
But have you connected the dots that you're 8 in 3rd grade?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, one of the things that really appealed to me about being funny was it was a tiny little sliver of my day that I had control of.
Oh, okay.
Like the rest of the stuff was very chaotic. The house was chaotic. The stepdads were terrible.
Yeah.
But I would have these interactions and I could take the reins and I could control the outcome.
Okay.
Like the outcome would be someone's laughing and happy.
Yeah.
And I was very drawn to that kind of control.
Yeah. I mean, it obviously was a mechanism to get love.
Right.
In a space in my life where it was feeling unstable. Right. But my existence was, I lived kind of a chaotic existence in the sense that dirty clothes everywhere. Just messy Marvin. And
you had a younger brother?
I have a younger brother.
He's also in the car.
But here's where it once again doesn't connect to the stereotype. So you would think, though, divorce, great technique to make friends, feel acceptance.
Yeah.
You would think class clown.
Right.
No, really good student. Loved my schoolwork.
Yes.
Loved turning things in. But that was probably
Mom was a
too.
But mom was a teacher as well, though, right?
But was never. In fact, I talk with my mom about this endlessly about our own kids, and like,
how do you motivate them? Right?
I go, Mom, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't feel like you ever were like, did you do? She goes, I never asked you guys to do your homework once. I'm like, why were we motivated then? She's like, a single mom working a bunch of jobs. I didn't have time.
Right.
And I think you guys either took it upon yourselves or maybe I intimated that you'll kind of create your own path. There'll be consequences if you don't or whatever. But I was just always motivated to turn my stuff in and do well.
But you must have liked the approval of the teachers. And the pets and the and all that from them, right? That could be a big motivator.
That could be it too.
Especially if, again, I had the best mom on the planet.
Yeah.
But she also was not around a ton. I mean, she was so busy trying to take care of 3 of us.
Right.
That, like, I was pretty starving for some adult approval.
Yeah.
Because so it could be that. It could also be like, I'm assuming you didn't grow up in a palatial estate with a divorced single mom.
You remember the show Silver Spoons?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Oh, you had a train.
We had a train through the living room.
Oh, wow. Well, now I really don't know why you did anything. You should have just stayed in that house.
That and Alf came up recently.
Okay,
And
yes.
I was watching a repeat of Alf the other day. It was one of those where I just inexplicably landed on Alf.
Sure.
I was like, I got to see this through here.
Yes.
And Alf, it involved the FBI, and they thought that someone in the cast was a secret agent.
Mm-hmm.
So they were monitoring, and then at some point, Alf is on a two-way radio with a voice actor impersonating Ronald Reagan.
Oh, my goodness.
And Alf is giving him a sentimental speech where they literally bring in strings.
Oh, wow.
About how, so it must have been at the height of the Cold War, how, let's put our differences aside and let's
he's an alien from another planet.
Right.
He knows about being different.
Let's really reach across the aisle with our, we're all humans. We got to share this planet. And it was like, well, Alf, you bring up a good point. Maybe we should just stop and smell the roses. And, I was like, this is incredible. Meanwhile, a man is doing the voice and working that puppet. That's
also the next time you stumble across it, I hope it's before the title sequence, because they shoot off the set in the title sequence, and it stayed. Their title sequence for 7 years.
Oh,
they're on an actress, and then the fucking camera goes up, and you see lights and
and they never
scaffolding. No, they left it
because someone's like, no one's going to notice.
Right, and largely
we don't have time to reshoot it.
It can't be done.
Speaking of people inside of suits, I was just at the L.A. Kings hockey game. And they have a mascot called Bailey, who's a lion.
Okay.
King of the jungle, right? King. Doesn't make sense. I mean,
L.A. Kings.
He's the king of the... Yeah,
but
it doesn't make sense.
No.
But he's a lion, and I was there doing... Because Ron Burgundy helped commentate during the Kings game.
Okay, right.
So I'm dressed as Ron Burgundy. And, of course, in the 5-minute walk it takes to get from the bowels of the stadium up into the broadcast booth, they have a camera on you the whole time. Social media, everything like that. And I've got Bailey behind me.
Oh my
and
God.
just up my ass, just like hard chart, just like full Bailey.
Yeah.
And they're so demonstrative.
Yeah.
Because they never speak.
Right. That's all they got is their hand.
Fist bump. What's up with the hands?
Tons of high fives. Yeah. Double high five.
And then I'd made a disparaging comment to Bailey, like, Bailey, back off, my friend. And a big, like, hey.
Let me breathe.
Yeah. And so he's following me all around. And then we stop and take a photo. And finally, there's this little meek voice from inside of Bailey's head. You're the best.
Oh.
Bailey spoke.
Oh,
my
wow.
Gosh. For you.
Because you can forget, right? You buy into Bailey.
Because we've all been to Disneyland. They're not allowed to ever break the fourth wall and speak. But all of a sudden, I just hear this voice. You're the best.
And do you have any water?
I have to take a break soon. I'm only supposed to work 15 minutes at a time. Anyway.
Oh, wow.
But back to, it was a 2-bedroom apartment.
It was a 2-bedroom apartment. There we go. Circle all the way back.
Park West Apartments.
Right. So that's
where we grew up.
And when you were a kid, did you covet wealth? Did you fantasize?
Great question.
That's why that show to me, Silver Spoons, was so appealing.
Yeah.
I coveted wealth.
Yeah, I think the fantasy of all your troubles would be gone.
That's right.
Yeah, gone would be the days of going to South Coast Plaza Mall and just staring at the toys.
Gilbert Gottfried with Stephen Wright.
Then I think, but wait a minute. It happened with me, so why couldn't it happen with them?
Neither of you had parents that had anything to do with show business.
No.
Your dad worked for NASA for a time, and then...
Well, he was an engineer, and they tested stuff that went up on the Apollo.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things he did.
Did you approach your parents at any point and discuss this with them and say, I think I'm getting up at a club and trying to...
No, as a matter of fact, I didn't even tell anybody. I didn't tell any of my friends. When I was watching Johnny in the early 70s and it got into my head, I was like, that's what I want. My dream is to do that. And I didn't tell anybody because I thought if I told anybody, it would jinx it.
I see.
And it wouldn't happen. So I was all through school, out of high school, in college, out of college. Then heard about the Comedy Connection in Boston. And then I told my friend Mike I was going to go out to the club, to the open mic, and he went with me. But that was the first time. I never talked about it at all. It was no show business.
And now when I think of it with like a more adult mind, as much as my mind can be adult, I'm thinking like, oh Christ, what my parents must have been thinking when, like, oh, look, I'm going to be the next Charlie Chaplin or something. That's how I'll make my living.
My father, when he said to me once in the clubs before I was on television, he said, "Why don't you should think about getting a job, or getting a real job." But he was just trying to, take care of me. But the thing, the young thing, that innocent thing you're talking about, you're naive, you're happy, you didn't know. It's like the pilots of jets, like F-16 warplanes. Those guys, they're that young age where they're not thinking anything's going to happen. Let's go. Let's just go.
It's not like
it's like
the
that.
foolhardiness of youth.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's not like, gee, the other guy has bullets in his plane too.
Yeah, their planes might be better.
And that other guy's a skilled pilot also.
I've heard you say, Stephen, that when you think about it, it's really an abnormal thing to do, to go out and make strangers laugh with stuff you made up.
It is abnormal. It's very weird. And it's especially when I'm doing shows consistently, it's like it's an abnormal thing that it appears to be normal. Just because it happens over and over, it's like an illusion that makes it normal, but it doesn't really. But then when I haven't done a show for like a month or something, then when I'm backstage or on the side of the stage, when I'm not used to it because I've had so much time off, then it's really like, what are you kidding me? I have to go out there and do that?
See,
this is insane.
I have this...
Even after 30 years.
Yes.
I think...
Absolutely.
I think stage fright actually gets worse the more experience you've had.
Really?
Because when you're young, it's like, when I was in my teens, you could have said... Oh, we want you to go out in front of this audience of 20 billion people, and it's going to be broadcast live around the world. And you go, huh? Okay. And now I always have this fantasy, right as I'm about to go on stage, that the manager is going to come out to me and go, oh, we had a fire or a flood, and so the show's canceled. Here's your check. You can go home now. And I think that's my fantasy.
Still now?
Oh, worse than ever.
I work with a lot of comics that say that too.
Yeah.
Still, I'm not going to name them, but still have that same anxiety. People who've been very successful in doing this 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
Is there and we'll look for any excuse to not go up.
Oh, exactly. Right. See, when I'm on stage, then I'm there.
Yeah, that's easier than when you're about to go on.
Because when I'm about to go on, to me, I compare it to, when you're about to go either in the ocean or in a pool, and you're dipping your toe in, you go, oh my God, that's so cold. And then when you're actually in the water, then you're okay. Yeah. You've dealt with it. But you start inching in and it's freezing, and then you're in there, it's okay.
Yeah, it's better doing it than thinking about doing it.
Now,
it's not a normal thing. It's not a normal thing.
No.
I would tell my road manager, it's like I shouldn't even really be doing this. I've been telling it for years. Like, not like I'm going to quit. I mean, it's completely against my personality. I'm such an introverted. I don't look at me. Every comedian wants the attention. It's like a catch-22. You want the attention, but really you don't want any regular life, It's like I do this thing pretty good that I shouldn't even really be doing.
Well,
that's how I feel about it.
It's a split personality, obviously, where there's one part of you that says, I'm great, and the world will leave their houses and pay money to see me. And the other part of you is, oh, can you please love me? That's all I want. I just want you to love me.
I never think the first part.
Yeah.
About I'm great.
Well, I've never thought you were.
Thank you. So I'm right. So I'm right then.
We're in full agreement on this. I've never thought you were even mildly entertaining.
Oh, God. I'm so happy that there's other people. There's probably a lot of other people. My God, I see the show almost like if you were running across a lake of ice, and then the ice is breaking behind you, and it takes an hour to get across, and you got to get it across. It's like, to me, it's like walking a tightrope. It's so intense. Don't you think it's intense out there?
Yes.
It's just everything's magnified. Everything is. So I'm not thinking, I'm great. It's almost like I want to try to get away with it another time. Let me get away with it again. That's how I see it.
I've heard you say you're getting to, all you're thinking of is getting to the next joke because you don't want to go that far without hearing a laugh.
Yes, that's why I didn't know this until years later, but that's when I thought, when I was doing it like 10 years, I thought, well, why are the jokes so short? Why are they so short? And then I figured it out. It was because I didn't want to be standing there talking some big setup. Mm-hmm. I wanted them to be laughing because that was more comfortable than no laughing during the setup.
Sure, of course.
And sometimes you get those audiences where you have to, you can't ride a wave with them, and you have to, it's like an audition with each bit you do.
Oh, yes.
You say...
Yes. It's like, what do you think of this one? It is. Yeah. It is. It's an audition. It's 500 auditions in 80 minutes.
You say a joke, it gets a big laugh, and then the next joke, they've already forgotten about you, and you have to prove yourself again.
Yes, because some audiences, just because that one went big, you can't trust the next one. You can't trust them. It's almost like going out. I see it almost like sometimes with going out with a woman, like a woman.
I wouldn't know.
Getting back to what's his name, Jenner. You wouldn't sometimes I'm out there and it's going really good, but I don't trust it. And it's like relationships. So many relationships didn't work out, but for a long time it was going good, and it's like sometimes I feel like that with the audience. It's like, I know you're there right now, but I don't trust it. I don't really know what's going to happen. That doesn't mean it's going to go like that for the whole way. And I'm almost waiting for when the turn is. Sometimes there isn't a turn, but lots of times there is a turn.
Well, so many people in the business feel, I definitely feel this, but so many, I've heard it from so many other people, famous people, who go like, they haven't found out yet. They haven't found out that I'm a fraud. And it's like...
I've heard that.
Like you're sneaking by.
Yeah.
One day they're going to discover it.
Yes. And there's some of those... I've heard that too, and I don't remember the specific people, but whatever the people were, he was like, that guy thinks that?
Yeah, legendary people.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
My sister told me that a few years ago she read something about Elvis that he was afraid before he went on. He was nervous before he went on. Can you imagine? Would you think that he was? I mean, as a guy, how much? I mean, look at how they reacted to him. I was stunned by that.
That is stunning. Somebody who I know who opened for Rickles told me that he took 3 belts. That he took 3 big glasses of vodka before he went out on stage because he needed And you would think at that stage, at that late stage, for a comic that can't get any bigger. Has every reason to have confidence and not have stage fright. Still happening.
I think I'm going to have to start drinking vodka.
Let me ask you something, Gil. And
yeah.
I think I know this about Stephen because I saw it in the research. But,
okay, so we don't need Stephen.
Well, I'm going to ask him, too. Do you know, you have so much material built up after all these years, and I've seen your act 100 times. Do you know, if I go see you at Caroline's on a Saturday night, do you know exactly what you're going to do in that set? Or Do you have some of it in mind, and
It's-
some of it's just
yeah.
coming to you on stage?
Yes.
You randomly cherry picking things on stage as you
Some-
think of them?
Yeah. Sometimes, like, I'll sort of say, okay, I'll start off with this bit, just instinctively. And then others, when I'm there, I'll go, okay, I have to do another bit here. That one I haven't done.
So you're free associating on stage and just pulling things out of the bag.
Yeah.
The other day I was in a restaurant, and I said, I want a cup of coffee. And the waiter said, how do you like your coffee? And I said, I like my coffee the way I like my women. Hot and black with a small piece of prune Danish.
Todd Barry with Collin Quinn.
That wouldn't necessarily get a laugh. But I'm saying people are just very rigid in comedy sometimes. I feel like, the mindset is hacks do that. Well, guess what? If we don't do that, you're giving it to the hacks then to be popular with the crowd. So the people with no content are getting laughs because they're being visual. Why would you not want your content? Why would you not steal what the hacks do right and use it? Or else the hacks win every time.
Wow. I never thought about it that way.
No, nobody thinks about it that way. That's why I'm the intellectual of comedy in many ways.
I'm just mad at myself for not coming up with a funny line after you said grabbing your cock inequality thing. Because I'm sure there's a joke.
I'm sure there's a joke about cock size in there.
There's a great cock size.
Well, that's the other thing is everything's a cock joke, which also annoys me. But you need them. Without them, you can't,
Do you prefer your comedy clean? You don't really.
No, not at all. I curse all the time. But I mean, I don't like it to be all. The most frustrating thing about comedy is watching any crowd, doesn't matter who. People do an hour of dick jokes, everyone laughs. No, first the MC, he does dick jokes. You're like, laughing. In the middle, do another half-hour dick jokes. Everybody still laugh. Headline could do an hour of dick jokes, and the crowd never gets tired. Everything else I get tired of. Sometimes I'll be doing my act, and I'll be, I can feel it's going all right, but, And then in the middle of it, I'll say something with the word sex or something that alludes there might be a sexual thought. The room becomes chapel. It's the reverence and the quiet, like, shut up. Wait a minute, we got to hear this. It can be a little annoying.
I don't like when comics use fuck a lot. Do you use fuck?
I use fuck a lot.
You got to get rid of that. That's my advice to you.
Well, first of all,
I'm going to get my keynote speech right now.
First of all, you don't tell me I got to get rid of it. And my justification is I'm talking about things that don't have prurient, like, low sexual interest to them, so I have to use fuck to keep the audience if I'm talking about political stuff and stuff like that. That's how I justify it.
So you use it as a cheat?
I use it to keep people in there, yes. I guess you call it a cheat.
Because I always find if I have fuck in a punchline, and then I go, can I make this funny by taking the fuck out?
But I could go the other way and say people are making dick jokes without the word fuck in them, and it's still a dick joke. Maybe you should look at... What's that? No, I'm saying that could be the other argument is a lot of people are doing dick jokes that don't have the word fuck in them, so they're not clean just because they don't have a dick joke. It's still a titillation. You know what I mean? If you want to start bantering that back and forth,
I just mean when someone's like, and then a fucking, then the fucking guy, and then the fucking...
No, I know. It
makes it sound like a dum-dum.
It does, but I'm just saying that the other argument is a lot of people say, I don't work like that, but meanwhile, every joke is a dick or shit joke surrounded by clean language. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's the other side of it. But you're right. The word fuck gets a little excessive, but so does the amount of dick jokes.
Have you ever had a club owner count? I had a club owner once. He's like, a club manager goes, I heard a lot of fucks tonight.
Yeah.
Fucking, what do you...
In the early days.
Did you listen to anything else besides, or are you just sitting there with making little hash marks?
Well, now you're going against your whole argument.
Well, this was when I was young.
Yeah, no, I heard that in the old days, too. I remember one lady goes, I came off stage, she goes, you've got a potty mouth.
Was she an audience member? Or
No, she was an owner.
I like when they tell you to be clean right before you go on stage. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Hey, we be clean? Oh, yeah, let me just clean it up for you as I'm being introduced.
Yeah, I had this one club lady I'll never forget. Oh, I still am resentful. And she told me that we were clean here. They didn't tell me before I went to the gig. It's a gig that's known to be clean. But I didn't know it was a weekend. So I go there, of course I go, she goes, well, I go, well, I'm not really clean.
Is this in Pennsylvania?
Yes.
I know that. Go ahead.
So she's in a car and I go, I don't really work clean. So she goes, well, I only want clean. No, that's not the way it works. I go, look, I understand we had a miscommunication. Let's just say I'll leave and we won't do the gig. I'll do tonight and that'll be it. She goes, I have people expecting you all weekend. I go, okay, so what do you want to do then? And she's like, and it was the most sick person. And I don't work dirty. I mean, I curse, but I'm not dirty at all. No. And in fact, people want more sex material. And so anyway, she obviously resents. Thursday night goes great. Show goes great. Friday morning, I'm supposed to do radio. 6 a.m. I get up at 6 a.m. for radio. Go to the radio. Doors locked. Oh no, I'm supposed to be at the club and do radio there, or she drives me to the club. Doors locked. Doors open. Actually, I start to get worried. I'm actually worried about this. You know what I mean? Like, I'm worried about her. Like, oh, maybe they broke, because something went wrong. Yeah. She never met me for radio. 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Finally get her on the phone. Oh, yeah, I overslept. Sorry. The owner overslept to take you to radio? It was such a passive-aggressive move. Plus, I was up for 2 hours. Plus, I was actually worried about this dumb bitch. Anyway, I did all my shows, and it was just every show. The phoniness, the part that bothered me the most was not only was she, like, horrified that I was doing this dirty, she's bringing all these people that friends of hers and local people in town want to meet me after the show. So she's acting friendly. Here he is. And I'm like, hey, guys, I'm going to take it out on them just because she wants to be like that. But it's like, you want to play it both ways and bring all the people that wanted to meet me that you know in town and act like we get along, and then you're pulling shit like that on me.
Did you quit after the first night? Or did you?
No, I stayed the whole weekend.
And her audience probably
pro.
didn't care about it.
They didn't care. I'm not working Phil. You know what I mean?
It's not a church. That's
it's
weird.
A comedy club. It's a shit gig. And it just bugged me that she was like acting all schmoozy with them, and then we were alone. She's just sitting there like horrified. What's going on?
Should have called her on that.
I mean, I did. I mean, I pulled a couple of little passive-aggressive moves myself, but I don't want to go into them.
Really?
No, just some small shit.
Let's hear one of them.
No, one of them was like she was waiting for me after the show to. She was waiting for me to sign whatever I was supposed to sign at the end of the show, and I just left and didn't tell her. And so she had to sit there for like an hour. She made me wait for 2 hours for radio.
You overslept for your autograph.
Right.
I'm on your side. Did you just unplug my shitty microphone?
No, I just touched those sunglasses. Close call.
So you're doing all theaters now, though?
Yeah, I'll be doing theaters for a little while.
Got your show. Now, your show, Unconstitutional, is that the same? It's different from what I saw at the Traverse City Comedy Festival?
Yeah? You haven't seen it since then?
No.
Oh.
How about some free tickets?
It's closed now.
Then I definitely want to go.
It's, yeah.
That sounds like a good burn I just did on you.
It does?
So you changed it? But you did the constitutional show.
It was based, it was the outline.
Yeah.
But it's all the content changed.
Glad I didn't pay for that outline, man.
Yeah.
That would have been... I feel bad for people who paid to see an outline of a show, man.
Hey, what can I say? They asked for it.
I don't think they asked for that. I think you owe some refunds. I think you have some refunds. I saw your tour dates. You're going like Delaware. You're doing like a bunch in a row. Punk rock
style. The 13
style.
colonies.
Oh, I didn't even make that connection. It's like a Henry Rollins type tour. He does stuff like that.
He does that?
Where he does, I'm doing all the state capitals.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm doing 13 colonies.
Oh my God. That's a great idea.
I like the fact you said I didn't even make that connection. Like, that, a brilliant mind like you didn't even make the connection. You're an egotist. You're like, wow, even I didn't make that connection.
I was actually being really, really humble. I didn't make that connection. It was more like, I didn't make that connection, that's a great idea, and then you twisted it into, can you believe that I didn't make that connection? When you knew what I meant by
You knew damn well what I meant.
Don't do to me what you did to that very nice club owner who wanted you to do a little PG-13
She's the
act.
worst. Still makes me mad thinking about that morning. Luckily I went to Tim Hortons, had a couple of nice donuts. It's the only thing that saved
It'd be
me.
fun to call up a clean comedy club and go, and just, Chris Rock is in there and he wants to do a set.
Yeah.
Would you let him?
Right. I mean, who are these clean... I didn't even know there were clean clubs.
That's the only
I understand
club I've
there
heard
were
of.
clean colleges,
Yeah.
but clean clubs? I never heard of it.
Clean nightclub.
Yeah.
Because all the movie theaters only have G-rated movies.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Don't get me started on this.
Yeah.
So the 13 colonies, is that your way of just showing that what are you going to do? Like, you're going to limit yourself to the 13 colonies? Or is it just kind of a stunt?
No, that's like the, I would call it a stunt.
Stunt is the wrong word. That was insulting. I apologize.
I would call it a...
gimmick. That's even worse.
I would say, we're doing the 13 and then we'd see what happens.
I like it. But you're doing them, it seemed like you had no days off. Almost no days off.
No, I had none. I mean, sometimes I had a Wednesday off, but usually not even that. It was just...
But that's coming up, right?
I'm off right now.
But you have dates coming up in...
No, not till September, October.
Well, that's what I mean by coming up.
Yeah, but late September. I mean, like September. First was like late September.
Next month.
When I really should be back at school.
How are you going to travel? How are you going to get from each colony to each colony?
I'll probably drive. Just like the Founding Fathers did.
Do you have a tour manager?
Just like the framers of the Constitution.
Do you have a tour manager?
To go with me?
Yeah.
No, I'm going to have this kid Josh, who was like the stage manager of the show. He'll go with me.
Is he driving?
He'll drive, I'll drive, we'll have a few laughs.
He's good company?
We'll find out. You know, I mean, I liked the little bit I knew of him, yeah.
Are you going to put him in a separate hotel?
No. We're going to sleep together. Probably have the same room, like planes, trains, and automobiles. That'd be fun to have a guy like that on the tour.
I don't remember that movie.
What? It's a great movie.
I know, I enjoyed it, but
It's a great character.
I don't remember any movies.
No.
Any movies.
Me neither. I don't remember the rest of it. I remember it was boring.
Darren came into the Comedy Cellar the other night.
What?
Yes.
Darren Aronofsky?
Yes.
Wow.
I know. Tweeted about the show.
Did he come in because of you?
He did.
And what did he say? So Todd Barry is fantastic. And you sit there and say, Darren, what else are you working on? And he's like, none of your business, Todd.
Hey, you brought this up, man. You brought up the wrestler. I had to mention that.
Of course you did.
It would have been weird if I didn't mention something that no one knew about and wouldn't need to know.
No.
I felt like you were about to ask me a question.
No, I did ask you a question. I said, did you have a nice conversation with him and try to worm you into his next movie?
No. I need to be in a movie. Is there going to be Grown Ups 3?
Yeah, probably.
I didn't see either of those movies. Can you get me a part on the Grown Ups 3?
You should see the Grown Ups 2 is still playing. It's at the Angelica right now. Get over there. Yeah.
It's at Cinema Village, then it goes to the Landmark Sunshine. These are all art theaters.
I was going to say, why just piggyback my great joke and leave it at that?
Because
you felt like it didn't work. The Angelica was the one. You had to be Cinema Village.
Angelica is something. This podcast isn't just being.
I understand, but the Landmark Sunshine and the Cinema Village are in this neighborhood.
I know, but then I defined.
No, Angelica has locations all over the country. That's why my joke was right. Move on.
I wish this was a video podcast because you just missed a real great visual hand in Colin's fame.
And I literally had to bite my other finger because this one's hurting today from too much biting lately.
Really?
It goes into.
Do you really dig in?
Oh. I mean, Todd, literally, there have been times at the cellar when people are sitting in the bar and I'm standing there and I've bitten my finger and my legs collapse. Like there must be a nerve attached here in my finger to the leg and I almost drop. That's not healthy.
That's not healthy at all. You gonna be all right?
Yeah.
I can't have you drop in my apartment. I just had it cleaned.
That would be good for the podcast, though.
Do you like my apartment? Is it what you expected?
Pete Holmes with Michael Che.
Time that I think about, I hate comedy. All I have to do is see a comedian do it well, and I'm like, I gotta do it.
I just thought that today because I'm seeing Amy Schumer tonight, the Trainwreck tour, and I'm going to that, and I was like, this is perfect. I've been meaning to write new material, and you get that simultaneous enjoyment, but it's too cheap to call it jealousy, but it's inspiring.
Yeah,
jealousy.
It is.
It's inspiring.
I call it jealous just for lack of a better word, but it's that kind of competitive. It's more so competitive with yourself. You have that Birdman,
That's right.
Like, what are you doing? You
That's
know,
right.
That inner voice that's kind of telling you.
We'll talk about a movie that's about relevance. He's just like, I got to write the play, direct the play.
Right.
Why? Because money isn't what this is about.
It's not.
It's about taking what's inside and putting it outside, always, over and over and over and again, and always proving it to yourself or whatever.
And it's so hard to say that when you're in the position that you're in. People will be like, oh, yeah, but you say that because you have the money and you have the success and all that stuff. Right. But it's fucking true.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Well, that's what you realize.
Yeah.
You can, money is a nice substitution. It's almost like a metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, money, what does money mean? You know what I mean? That's like a real self-helpy thing. It's like, why do you want money? Oh, because I want a house. Let's say it's a house, or I want good food, or what, or massages, or you know, to be a fancy guy on a cruise boat and having sex with random girls or whatever. So, okay, that's
a fancy guy. Always wanted to be a fancy guy.
But it's not really. So money is like a placeholder. It's a metaphor for what you're really talking about, which is the life and the creative expression that you want. Which is fine, because when I started, for sure, and still, like I looked at my finances the other day, they weren't where I thought they were. Has that ever happened? You're just like,
all the time. Anytime I look at my Uber receipts, I'm like, wait a minute, that stuff does add up.
It adds up. So I have a business manager, which is obnoxious, I suppose, and I was like, what is it? She's like, well, Uber is a big part of it.
Well, because you never take the money out of your pocket and see it. It's just gone.
We're in Blade Runner. It's just credits. You're just scanning a thing, and it's this idea. When you hold money, you're like, this was 4 hours of work. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, even when I do a show, let's say you get $1,000 for a show, that's great. But then you're like, somebody is like, let's go to that restaurant. You're still thinking, what percentage of that hour and that travel and that work is the meal?
Yeah.
So that doesn't go away. But then the point of my silly story was I looked at it and I was like, wow, the old checking account's way lower than I expected. And then you know what I did that afternoon was I beated out a movie idea. You know what I mean? Because you're just kind of like, that's still a motivation. It's not. It's not a bad. It's not like just a cash-in movie, like a no way it could miss, like Justin Bieber as the star sort of thing that I don't care about. It was a movie that I liked, but I was like, you gotta work.
Yeah,
you gotta work.
You have to work. You have to keep working, and you also start hearing that other people are willing to do your job for a little less.
That's right.
And you have to be worth it. You know?
That's right.
But the biggest thing I think is that there's nothing more inspiring than like a good special or good, like anytime I have to follow you or see you and I see the energy, because you have a great thing, and it's not just saying this because you're here, but I think this is a very common perception that every time you're on stage, it's the crowd is you have that black comic kind of thing. But for white people, in a lot of ways, it's weird. I don't see too many white people melt the room.
Oh, that's really great.
Which is cool.
I appreciate that.
I don't know what it is about a lot of this community. They just feel like they write the joke, and if it's a good joke,
they'll laugh at it.
Yeah.
Where I'm pushing, I'm digging my heels in.
You write a good joke, but you perform it,
and then I yell at them.
But it's great though. It's because it's the performance part. A lot of people forget the performance part.
Well, you know, it's funny. Speaking of black comics, I worked with JB Smoove, and he'd have to change his shirts in between sets.
Unreal.
Sweating, and talk about this type of inspiration. That exactly what we're saying.
Right.
I was like, oh shit.
You can be that funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I take pride. Like when I lose my voice, I could be speaking better. If I lose my voice after like a 5-show weekend, I'm a little bit proud that you left it all on the court.
That's right.
I'm like, I don't want to, like the dudes that do a set and then go to dinner afterwards and they're still like super hilarious because they have all this creative energy left. I'm like,
yeah,
you should.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah, but leave it. Give it all. Like,
right.
Just leave and be done. Like I'm sure Robin Williams and all those guys got off stage. I don't know about Robin Williams. He was kind of an anomaly. But it seems to me that they would just be like, and now I can relax because I left it all on the field.
Yeah, I mean, off stage, he was always kind of quiet and reserved.
I think so, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen.
What I saw later in life, but I don't know how he was back in the 80s or whatever.
Well, yeah, he was probably had a different kind of energy.
Yeah, maybe a chemical energy.
maybe he had a little. He might have been juicing.
But I know what you're talking about. But for me, because I'm that type of performer, I'll watch a guy like Birbiglia, and he's so slowly peeling the orange, but it's masterful, and he's also performing it.
Right.
Birbiglia is that guy that told me that thing. He goes, think fuck, but don't say it. Like, if you just want to make a joke cleaner, not your whole act necessarily, he's like, you can think fuck and not say it. So it's these, like, theatrics and this discipline, and, like, I saw him do the hour, at his new hour, and I was like, well, that's ready, and he's like, yeah, I'm touring it for 6 more months. And I'm like, tape it now.
Yeah. It's there. Yeah,
it's done.
There.
But like those guys, that inspires me. These guys that are like it's almost like trimming a bonsai tree. They want it to be perfect. Bill Burr, or you know, I don't really watch Louis specials, but like I hear Louis specials are just like masterpieces.
But it's also kind of like that. I like that comedy, the tradition of comedy, especially from kind of where we come up, because I feel like we have the same kind of guys that we look to.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways. Yeah, that same kind of thing, whatever. But their work ethic, like, it still matters to Attell, and it still matters to Quinn and all those guys and Big, like you said, like, it still matters to them to have a good special. Nobody's kind of cashing in.
That's right.
So to us, that's the way you do it, because that's the way they do it.
And we learned, because of the comedy boom in the 80s, we learned about this lesson of relevance, I think, which is you can flare up and be king of the world and then gone. And we're all just kind of like, oh, it's a long game. We're not trying to flare up and blow everyone away for 1-2 specials.
Right.
We're trying to Carlin it. Carlin was a big example. Seinfeld, I think, is a very inspiring dude.
Yeah.
That guy has $1 billion. He doesn't. I don't know if he literally does, but he has so much money.
He probably does.
He probably does.
Yeah.
It is airing right now in India with Hindi subtitles. It's airing, and he's getting cash. So he keeps doing it. But he says something in Comedian where he goes, "I have this idea of what a comedian should be, and I'm always trying to be it, and I'm always falling short." You know what I mean? So it's almost like a concept. Comedian, capital C, comedian. That guy, the guy that everybody likes, the guy that's pushing himself and pushing the boundaries of his own ideas and evolving. And that's a really hard thing to do.
And how important is that movie, I think, for guys around our age?
$1 million?
Yeah, because I think I was right out of high school when I seen it, and I was like, oh, I want to be a comedian.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. Some people say comic. I love the word comedian.
Yeah.
I love it. It encapsulates everything we do.
Right.
We're in the service of comedy. We're comedians. Comic, it rubs me the wrong way. We can talk about that another time. But that
Wolverine's
movie...
a comic.
Yeah, you know what's funny? He kind of is.
He kind of is.
He can do the bar room. But I want to be Storm. I want to fly and call in a hurricane, and then I do a small room, so I just make it hail a little bit.
This is not the first time you thought of this. This is
strangely it works, and then I just start rapping again, and it was amazing. But Comedian was huge. I saw Comedian when did it come out? Like 2004, maybe 2000.
Oh, something like I think maybe like 2002. Yeah, 2000, something around there.
Because
maybe 2004.
I think it 2, 3, or 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I went matinee, opening day, and it looked like there was an open mic sign up happening. It was all the comics in town. None of us knew the others were going.
Right.
And it was so weird, and we watched it. And that's when I left, and I was like, oh, I have to go to New York, because the comedy, the idea of comedy as deity, being like, serve me, go to New York, but it's scary. Go to New York, but I can't afford it. Go to New York. You have to eat your balls.
Mm-hmm.
Eat your balls. All the time. You have to serve it.
It's really romantic when you think about it. Yeah, that thing. And you always miss the part that you hated the most.
I know.
And then you think about that hustle of it, just the trying to get on stage. Now you kind of feel like, you feel a little spoiled when you go and people are happy to see you. And they're like, oh, yeah, you want to go up now? And I'm like, wait a minute, is there room?
Still feels weird, right?
Still feels a little kind of uneasy, but also, because you don't, you want to feel like that's still the place that you're trying to get to.
Yeah.
Because you're not satisfied where you are.
Right.
And you think when you're not there, when I get there, I'll be satisfied. So if you're there and you're still not satisfied, you're like, fuck, what's next?
It's almost using like unsatisfaction as a tool.
Yes.
It's not that we're going around being upset.
Right.
It's that you're thinking of the next thing. That's why I wouldn't want to win the lottery, because money is a good like little score. It can be a good scorekeeper.
Exactly.
You go like, I have $100, and you feel like you have 100 points. But if you win $1 billion, you're just like, I don't know what to do with my life.
Yeah.
Like, that's what makes Seinfeld so impressive.
It's like when you beat a game that you love. And you're like, well, I don't want to play, but I kind of missed wanting to play.
I know.
I'm
too good at Shadow of Mordor now. I'm too good at it.
I'm not good at any of those games, but I played Call of Duty. I bought Call of Duty for the first time because I don't really play video games just because I'm, I don't like being home alone.
Okay.
I live by myself. That's the worst part. I live by myself.
So that's like a way of making it, like living alone in New York.
That's a huge thing. Living alone in New York is a huge...
I'm impressed.
I don't need a Tinder picture. I could just say I live alone and I'm cleaning up.
You could hand girls pictures and say I live in New York alone.
This is my refrigerator.
It just says
steel.
no roommates. No roommates, steel fridge.
Yeah,
you don't have any Post-its on the milk.
Nothing.
There's nothing that says don't eat this.
Everything's mine.
It's your place.
It's insane.
I'm still impressed by that. that.
I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So
It's pretty
living
cool.
alone, and you don't like being alone, though.
No, so I go to bars all the time.
Yeah, you're a very social guy. Because that's something I noticed in Melbourne was like, I flare up. Like, I'll have a good set, and then we'll go out.
Yeah.
Like, maybe that happened, 4 times?
4 times.
The whole time we were there, and you were out every night.
I did pretty good out there.
I don't just mean meeting girls, but you were meeting girls, and I was trying to meet girls and occasionally succeeding in meeting girls. But that was a rare state for me, but you really thrive. I walk into a crowded bar, and I'm thinking of that bar that we always went to, remember?
Yeah.
And when it was full, my first thought is always like, I got to get the fuck out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And your thought was like, I'm going to go. It was very cool. You'd lean on the bar, like, not because you were drunk. You just lean on the bar.
Part of it.
A little drunk. And just kind of like wait and see what happened. Like you'd meet people, talk to people that did see the show, people that didn't see the show, people that knew you were a comedian, people that didn't. You didn't seem to care. You were just out. You were living.
Well, I mean, I was excited about just being out there. I think, for me, it was. I'd never been to Australia before.
Yeah.
Not only have I never been to Australia before, I haven't really traveled before. You know what I mean? So the traveling was still fun. Now I'm a little bit less social outside, like when I'm on the road, just because I'm like, I kind of want to be home, But all the time, like, you just kind of would rather be home.
Yeah.
But
isn't that the feeling of like, do you ever watch TV and go, man, it'd be nice to watch some TV? Like while you're watching TV?
Yeah. I never watch anything. I watch like with the click, like I just use the remote all the time. I never really.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You don't dig in?
Never.
I wonder, like.
I watch everything.
But
at the same time.
Increments.
In increments. If you get a commercial, I'm done with you. Forget about it. I'm not coming back.
You're done.
I'm done. I got to keep watching.
Now I'm even more impressed that you watched The Wire. Do you watch the whole thing?
I watched the whole thing. Like I did that binge watching thing where I watched it. It was on HBO. Ran like the they do like a whole season in a day kind of thing, and I just watched the first season, and I was like, oh, I need to find out what happens, and I just watched all of it.
Yeah.
But now it's so hard to. I have to. That has to happen organically. When somebody's like, you got to watch Breaking Bad. I'm like, no, man. It's like 7 seasons.
I know.
You're not gonna make me watch a 30-hour movie.
I know.
That's like no. I don't have that kind of time.
It's funny that you say that because Henry Rollins did the podcast, and he was saying when you buy a season of a show or you buy a book or you buy a movie, even you're not really buying the movie. You're buying the thought that in the future you'll.
Thank you, folks, for listening. Tune in next week for more podcasts of all podcasts.
Some people will rob their mother for the ends. Rats snitch on one another for the ends. Sometimes kids get murdered for the ends. So before we go any further, I want my ends. I knew this cat named Bill, he didn't have $1. He was Harvard material, Ivy League scholar, had a PhD, had an MBA. But now he's waiting tables cause it's rent to pay. Companies downsizing, inflation's rising. Can't find a job, he's feeling kinda stressed. Doesn't even feel the effects when he says, forgot to count how many times they've been blessed. So he falls off track, starts smoking the crack. And once it hits his brain, starts to chain react. Tells the shirt off his back, shoes off his feet. He's losing all his teeth, now he's out in the street. And all of a sudden it's like Jesse James trying to stick up kids for their watches and chains. But he's from business school and is nervous with the tools. So he ends up on his back in a bloody pool for the ends. Some people will rob their mother for the ends. Rats snitch on one another for the ends. Sometimes kids get murdered for the ends. So before we go any further, we want my ends. I knew this chick named Sally. She had a nice strut, and everywhere that I went, she was up in the cut, swinging that butt like glacier ahead. Only rap the men's that rock the fly gear. Brand name wearing, champagne waving, jewels around the neck, lifestyle she's craving. Ain't no saving, she's doing all the spending. If you do the lending, she'll do the bending. Straight machine bending, it's money for Ted. Shopping sprees, get her on her knees. And if you hit her with the keys to your crib, you acting funny. Come home one day, find her counting out your money. From the wetlands all the way to the Apollo. If you're broke, she's spitting. If you're rich, you might swallow for the ends. Some people will rob their mother for the ends. Rats snitch on one another for the ends. Sometimes kids get murdered for the ends. So before we go any further, I want my ends. Made a lot of noise, making money on the block, and kids was on their job. They was tougher than leather, like Reverend Ron and DMC. They was toting guns, holding weight, going out of state, stacking mad chips and pushing fat whips. Fly jewels and clothes and got no job, and then one disappeared and one got robbed for the ends. Some people will rob their mother for the ends. Rats snitch on one another for the ends. Sometimes kids get murdered for the ends. So before we go any further, I want my ends. Ends. Some people will rob their mother for the ends. Rats snitch on one another for the ends. Sometimes kids get murdered for the ends.